Appreciate you joining me today. We're going to be looking at the account of when Jesus went to Nazareth. Our hymn today is called I Need Jesus.
I need Jesus, my need I now confess. No friend like him in times of deep distress. I need Jesus, the need I gladly own. Though some may bear their load alone, yet I need Jesus. I need Jesus. I need Jesus. I need Jesus every day. Need him in the sunshine hour. Need him when the storm clouds gather every day along my way. Yes, I need Jesus.
Appreciate it, Lee. Verse 2. I need Jesus, I need a friend like him, a friend to guide when paths of life are dim. I need Jesus when foes my soul assail. Alone I know I can but fail, so I need Jesus. I need Jesus, I need him to the end. No one like him, he is the sinner's friend. I need Jesus, no other friend will do, so constant, kind, so strong and true. Yes, I need Jesus. We're in Luke chapter 4 today. In Luke chapter 4, verse 16. So he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up to read. He was handed the book of the prophet Isaiah, and when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. He ends up closing the book, and let me move the screen a little further down. He closed the book and gave it back to the attendant. Everyone's looking at him, and he said, Today this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing. And of course they're incredulous. Is this not Joseph's son? And it ends up that they end up taking him and throwing him out of the city. Led him to the brow of the hill, verse 29, that they could throw him over a cliff. Passing through the midst of them, he went his way. He gives two examples. We've spoken about this before, Elijah as well as Naaman. And or he gives the example of the widow of Zarephath and Naaman. Both those individuals were Gentiles. There's something to be said about that, as Jesus is rejected. But as we think about our hymn, I Need Jesus, and we think about what he read, and we think about what we need to proclaim liberty to the captives. You know, all through Scripture, you have this recurring theme, and it's we need freed from bondage, whether we're talking about Israel in the days of Pharaoh, or we're talking about Israel in the days of the captivity, or we're talking about true bondage. And that's, of course, sin. And that's what the Lord came to do, to free us. I came to proclaim liberty to the captives. Freedom. Freedom from sin, not freedom to sin, freedom from sin. And we need that. We need that freedom. We don't want to be slaves to sin. You're either a slave of unrighteousness, or according to Romans, Paul uses that figure because of the weakness, because of their own weakness. You're a slave of righteousness or a slave of unrighteousness. Which master do you want to follow? Would you rather follow the devil, or would you rather follow the Lord? You're going to follow somebody. You can't just, in between paradise and torment, there's a gulf. There is not a fence for you to straddle. No one gets to dwell in the gulf. It's one or the other. We need to recognize our sin. Because unless we do that, we will not come to Jesus. And we need to see we need to understand what separates us from God, that God is holy. And so how can we have fellowship with God? If God is holy, then we must be holy. And so we need freed from bondage. We need freed from the bondage of sin. He also says in the passage, recovery of sight to the blind. We need to be able to see. Not just see our sin, but see going forward. We don't want to fall into the blind leading the blind and they both fall into the ditch. We don't want to fall into the ditch. We want to see where we're going. There are so many people who go through life and they say, well, I don't know. I don't know. Their whole life consists of uncertainty. That's not how the Lord wants us to be. He wants us to have our eyes open, to walk circumspectly, looking around, so we can see ourselves, so we can be aware of what we're doing, and so we can help others. And so he came to proclaim recovery of sight to the blind, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. That's a reference to the year of Jubilee. The year of Jubilee, and of course that's a foreshadowing of what we have in Jesus. Well, what happened in the year of Jubilee? All the debts were canceled. All the debts are canceled. How wonderful of a picture is that? Just imagine all of your bills on the table, and then you get a phone call, and it says they're all wiped out. And that's just money. In Jesus, we have true indebtedness. In Jesus, I should say, in Jesus, what we have are debts canceled. And so that's why we need Jesus. That's why we owe him everything, but at the same time we can never pay back what he has paid. But we follow him. And the debts are canceled. I believe it's the parable of different parables about that. The man who was forgiven so much, and of course that's the parable of the unforgiving servant. But the Lord has forgiven us. In Jesus, the Lord has forgiven us. And the year of Jubilee, and we're free, and we see. This is why the Lord came, and this is why we need the Lord. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our Daily Praise.